today, when the shortage of teachers that is gnawing at our heels is getting worse and worse. We've had the high-level panel on the teaching profession, which has given us some solid recommendations for addressing these issues. But we will see highlighted in this work that without agentic teachers who have professional autonomy and the control and the ability to do the work they need to do in a permanent and serious fashion, we won't get the results for the students that we need. So this work has been about focusing on teachers and the work that they do in the classroom. Our unions have put in an incredible amount of work to bring this project to life, and they have shaped it and made it their own. And every country has their own experience and their own narrative. And what we're looking at here today is how we, as a union movement, control the narrative around assessment and high quality professional learning and development. Because we know that unions have the best knowledge and the best information of what's going on in the classroom and for their teachers. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Martin Henry. I'm a research and policy and advocacy coordinator here at Education International head office in Brussels. I've just come back from Brazil from an amazing meeting with our Brazilian and Uruguayan colleagues, and it's a bit murky over here. So we've left the warmth and we're back into the cold of Brussels. We've also had a meeting in Côte d'Ivoire with Anju, who is also on the panel today. So I'd just like to welcome all of you and be clear that this focus is on Latin America and Africa. We had our previous webinar on Asia Pacific, and we're looking here at how assessment and large-scale assessments have disrupted the narrative in education. In Brazil last week, we heard from the teachers in Brazil and Uruguay about how their professional autonomy made a better future for their students. And it was incredible to hear that there are 4,000 different external assessments being used at schools in Brazil that have been brought in from elsewhere. This project is working from the inside out, not from the outside in. It was also incredible to see the passion in Côte d'Ivoire, in Brazil, and in Uruguay with which the teachers approach this work, and the seriousness with which the unions we have assembled today approach the advocacy challenge. So without further ado, I'm going to pass to Nadine Malloy, who is going to be our moderator, who's going to guide us through and take us through our paces in this discussion. If you need interpretation, if you go to the bottom of your screen, you will see a world sort of symbol. If you click on that, you will see that we have interpretation in French, Portuguese, Spanish, and English. So if you pick the channel that you require, and we'll take it from there. So Nadine, over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day, and wherever you are. Hi, Martin. It's good to see you again. Sorry I missed you last week when we were in Brussels for Expo, but it's good to see you online. I want to greet everyone who has joined us this morning, well, all our brothers and sisters, mostly in, well, across from the globe right now. I just want to say it's really awesome to be here, and I thank EI for the opportunity to moderate and share with my colleagues, on this very, very important topic, teacher-led learning circles for formative assessment. How are we controlling as teachers the narrative around assessment and high-quality professional learning activities? And so, I just want to say a little bit that as I start, how heartened I am to see EI serving us in this way. You are a parent company, and it speaks to the fact that you are in touch. You are the beating heart of what we do. And, I thought back to our 8th World Congress theme, educators and their unions taking the lead. And the online one that we had, the 9th, which says growing our unions, elevating our professions, defending democracy. And certainly we are growing our unions when we look at the quality of what we're doing and the impact that we expect to come from this expanding project, which should go on till at least 2026. We don't know what will happen then. I want to especially welcome everyone who is on the panel, and in particular, those persons who are going to be sharing with us this morning. We have our brother, Andrew, who is the Secretary General of, and I'm going to say all the letters, Martin, just in case I mess up the pronunciation, SNEPPCI from Cote d'Ivoire. And Andrew, it's the first time I've had to pronounce that name of your country. So I hope I did a great job of it. And we also have Heleno Arunjo, the president of CNTE Brazil. And we also have, of course, Martin just spoke to you. He's our research, policy and advocacy coordinator at Education International. He's based in Belgium. I am Nadine Malloy. I'm an executive board member. I am from the Jamaica Teachers Association here in Jamaica. And we also have, rounding out our panel, LBL Pereira, who is the Secretary General of FUMTEP out of Uruguay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, brothers and sisters, welcome. We are going to start with Andrew, and some really exciting stuff has been happening across the globe. And when I checked out what was happening in your neck of the woods, I see some really very interesting activities. I see where you are bouncing back from the COVID experience, you're building capacity, and your teachers are definitely taking the lead, and we're growing our unions. Over to you, my brother. Are we having a bit of a challenge, Martin?
Anju, c'est pour toi à la moment. Tu es la plafonde. Je n'écoute pas, c'est mute.
And while Andrew is unmuting and getting online, we want to share with you that they have had a 90% retention rate of the teachers in the project. And the ones who have left the project is for good reasons. May I say that, Martin? Can I put it that way? Yes. Do we want to go to the next speaker while we sort that out? Okay, so let me make sure I'm following my schedule. And the next speaker up is Heleno out of Brazil. Heleno, are you on? Can you unmute and share with us
tous.
what
Est-ce que vous
awesome
m'entendez
stuff?
maintenant? Nadine. Aussi, o Joja também. Nadine?
Okay, we've got both unmuted
Martins,
now. What I suggest, and Elena, with your permission, if we let Andrew go while
Yes.
he has unmuted, and we'll come back to you afterwards. Yes, sorry about that.
Great.
Bonjour à tous, je suis Andrew, secrétaire général national du syndicat national de l'enseignement primaire public de Côte d'Ivoire, SNEPSI. Notre consoeur tout à l'heure a écorché un peu notre sigle. C'est vrai, c'est SNEPPCI, mais il faut dire SNEPSI. C'est le syndicat national de l'enseignement primaire public de Côte d'Ivoire. Je voudrais, au nom de tous nos militants, remercier l'International de l'éducation, remercier nos amis de l'IE qui sont déplacés, qui sont venus en Côte d'Ivoire pour faire l'évaluation, mais mieux, qui ont piloté ce projet sec d'évaluation formative pour nos camarades, pour nos enseignants au niveau de la Côte d'Ivoire. Je voudrais juste dire que ce projet fut un projet très important, très passionnant, parce que ce projet, avant sa mise en œuvre, nous travaillions sur l'évaluation sommative. Mais grâce à ce projet, nous savons aujourd'hui qu'il y a une autre manière d'évaluer et les enseignants et les enfants, et donc l'évaluation formative. Nous avons travaillé avec un coordonnateur national que nous avons proposé à l'IE qui a validé. Nous avons des facilitateurs, 2 facilitateurs. Nous avions 6 animateurs et au bas de l'échelle, 30 participants. 30 participants. Nous avions 3 groupes de 10 et avec eux, nous avons travaillé pendant 1 an et le résultat est vraiment probant. Je voudrais m'arrêter là parce que tout à l'heure, je suis sûr qu'on aura l'occasion d'entrer dans le fond et dire à nos camarades, à nos amis, comment nous avons travaillé pour avoir des résultats probants en Côte d'Ivoire.
Okay, thank you, my brother from Sneppy. Did I get that? Yes, awesome. We are going to be coming back around with some additional questions and, interjections from the panel. So thank you so much for that brief outline. And I'm now going to move to Heleno from out of Brazil. My brother, you're on.
Obrigado, Nadine. Olá, companheiras, trabalhadores, trabalhadoras em educação, assessores e assessoras. Forte abraço ao Abijum, ao Martin, que junto com a UDA esteve agora aqui no Brasil junto conosco. Um forte abraço, obrigado pela presença aqui em nosso país. Um abraço também para a Elbia e a Heloísa, do Uruguai, que também esteve conosco. Deixo aqui a saudação também da nossa Confederação Nacional dos Trabalhadores em Educação aqui do Brasil e também da Confederação Sindical de Educação dos Países de Língua Portuguesa. E saúdo aqui a nossa Manuela Mendonça, da FEMPROF, que está aqui conosco. Nós fomos convidados também para a Internacional Educação, agradecemos o Brasil ter a oportunidade de participar e contribuir nesse processo da avaliação formativa, fazendo a disputa, sim, contra a padronização da avaliação em nosso país e no mundo. O projeto aqui ele mostrou uma força muito grande sobre a questão da liderança profissional e o ativismo pedagógico. Nós conseguimos montar um grupo de professoras e professores que são comprometidas e comprometidos com a educação pública de fato. São profissionais de referência na rede de ensino que atuam dentro da escola com sua atuação pedagógica e referência na política do sindicato. São trabalhadoras em educação comprometidas com a educação pública ou com o movimento sindical e que algumas características desse trabalho que estamos fazendo é importante para fortalecer as nossas ações políticas também aqui no Brasil. Essas professoras e professores tiveram uma formação inicial de forma presencial, que já é um diferencial, né, aqui no Brasil, já que no ano de 2022, nós tivemos 81% dos estudantes de licenciaturas matriculados na educação à distância. E a formação de professores e professoras à distância não combina com o papel, com a atribuição de liderança e de ativismo pedagógico que nós precisamos ter no ambiente da escola. Por isso, combatemos essa questão da formação inicial à distância para fortalecer, de fato, a nossa formação inicial e a nossa atuação dentro da escola. Todas as professoras e professores que participaram desse processo, eles são efetivados, trabalham na escola através de concurso público. Esse é um elemento importante desse processo. Aqui no Brasil, nós temos 53,51% dos professores e professoras contratados de forma temporária, de forma precarizada. O que nós observamos nesse pesquisa, nesse estudo que estamos fazendo da avaliação formativa, é que o fato de você estar permanente acompanhando um processo de formação dos estudantes tem uma importância muito grande para você desenvolver, né, essas ações pedagógicas e fazer enfrentamento a essa padronização da avaliação aqui no Brasil. As professoras falaram, né, o tempo todo que precisou fazer muitas leituras. Então, há um esforço dessas professoras para fazer uma formação continuada, com muitas leituras sobre sua prática pedagógica, sobre a dinâmica na relação com os estudantes, e isso é muito importante. E aqui, infelizmente, desde o golpe de 2016, foi desmontada a estrutura de uma política nacional de formação continuada. Então, é outro elemento importante nesse processo de mobilização. No bloco das resistências às imposições, a essa padronização, aqui também, depois do golpe principalmente, e esse enfrentamento que realizamos de forma constante em todo o mundo e coordenado pela Internacional da Educação, a legislação brasileira passou a tratar o direito da aprendizagem em detrimento ao direito à educação. No país onde 41% da população não tem acesso à educação, à escola, ou não concluíram a sua educação básica. Somos 10 milhões de pessoas analfabetas, 2 milhões de crianças e jovens entre 4 e 17 anos de idade que não têm acesso à escola e 72 milhões de brasileiros e brasileiras a partir de 18 anos de idade que não conseguiram concluir a educação básica. Então, o direito à educação é o elemento fundamental para também fazer esse enfrentamento aqui no país e no mundo. Com relação à imposição da padronização específica da avaliação, aqui ela ocorre por 3 indicadores aplicados no Brasil. A aplicação da prova de português, a aplicação da prova de matemática e a medida da taxa de aprovação dos estudantes. A partir desses 3 indicadores, há uma disputa, uma competição entre as escolas, entre os municípios, entre os estados, quem fica em primeiro lugar, e a grande mídia faz esse processo de ranqueamento constante, trazendo uma disputa, uma competição no espaço da escola. Por isso, nós enfrentamos esse debate propondo outros indicadores que nós aqui no Brasil já conquistamos na lei do Plano Nacional de Educação de 2014, que vigora até este ano, 2024, mas que não foram implementados esses indicadores. Nós indicamos que é necessário fazer uma avaliação institucional para avaliar a educação básica em nosso país, considerar o perfil dos nossos estudantes, considerar o perfil dos profissionais da educação, tratar das relações, da relação professor-estudante em sala de aula, quantos estudantes por turma, qual a relação com professores, qual a relação de estudantes com técnicos, avaliar as condições de infraestrutura de nossas escolas, os recursos pedagógicos disponíveis para o processo de ensino-aprendizagem e também a forma e os processos de gestão das escolas, que aqui trabalhamos fortemente com o processo da gestão democrática para garantir essa forte atuação e esse enfrentamento a essa padronização. Indicamos outros indicadores que sejam relevantes para garantir essa qualidade social da educação que nós defendemos, com base numa avaliação diagnóstica e que a avaliação formativa possa garantir essa liderança profissional, esse ativismo pedagógico a todas as nossas professoras e professores. Essa é a dinâmica, esse é o trabalho que estamos tentando desenvolver aqui com o grande apoio da Internacional da Educação. Muito obrigado, Nadine. Muito obrigado, pessoas, todos os companheiros e companheiras.
Okay, thank you, Helena. We got quite a bit from our first 2 speakers. We are hearing about national frameworks. We're hearing about engagement with our students, capacity building, training. You know, it's a journey that we're on. And I know, Martin, you're not strictly speaking on the panel, you are, but I don't know if you want to jump in and make any quick comment here. We heard about legislation, all of that kind of stuff, the impact of infrastructure, you know, how many students are engaged, how many are not engaged. Any quick comment before we go to the next person?
Yeah, I'd just like to explain to everybody the focus that the union has had in both of these countries. And the meeting we've just had in Belo Horizonte, CNTE assembled a panel of academics that were absolutely convincing and clear in their understanding of how formative assessment fits into the assessment landscape in Brazil. And I do want to take my hat off to the Belo Horizonte University, which provided facilitators across the project as well, and the importance of linking academic research with teachers in the classroom and the union at the forefront of that work. And the same happened in Uruguay. And I do want to acknowledge that we also have our researcher from Uruguay on the webinar, Eloisa, and Albia, I'm sure we'll speak about that when we get to her. And we also have from Anju and from SNEPSI, we also have Prof. Kotu, who was the researcher who did the work in Cote d'Ivoire. And they have actually filled out the project in a way which has made it so much more biting within the environment that they've been working in. And the way that you assemble the narrative by putting the right academics in place so that we can take back education, I think is critical. So thanks for that opportunity, Nadine.
Okay, thank you, Martin, for pulling that together for us so beautifully. Now I'm going to go to our next speaker, and Martin, don't sit too easy. I'm going to come back to you again to help us, you know, to fill in some of the gaps as we hear them, because we have to make sure we're connected. We're in Africa, we're in South America, we're in the Caribbean. We want to make sure, and you're in Belgium, we want to make sure we're connected. In the meantime, you can go to the chat. There are some links posted of where you can find additional information, and it's great information, I can tell you. I have been reading them. So we're now going to go to our next presenter, who is Elbia Pereira. She is the General Secretary of FUMTMP, and that is out of Uruguay.
Buenos días, compañeras. Buenos días, compañeros. Es un gusto estar conectada con todas y todos a través de la distancia, pero a través de estos cuadritos de pantalla que nos posibilitan estar en estas jornadas de intercambio. Principio, decirles que, bueno, represento a la Federación Uruguaya de Magisterio, Trabajadores de Educación Primaria, que es lo que significa las siglas que Nadine mencionó. Es el sindicato, la federación que nuclea a todas y todos los docentes de primaria y los funcionarios que estamos directamente involucrados en la tarea educativa de niños y niñas del Uruguay. En primer lugar, quiero agradecer a la Internacional de la Educación por haber tenido en cuenta para participar en este proyecto a nuestro país Uruguay y especialmente en nuestro país a educación inicial y primaria y evaluaciones que muchas veces nos enfrentamos a lo que son evaluaciones estandarizadas. Hoy poner en relevancia la actuación de las docentes y los docentes en estos procesos formativos es de especial relevancia, por lo cual vaya mi agradecimiento. Pero agradecer también a compañeras y compañeros de la CNTE, en la persona de Leno, que está aquí, por abrirnos ese espacio y hace pocos días, no solo acompañar el proceso de Uruguay, que sepan ustedes que nosotros integramos este proyecto a partir del año pasado, o sea que Tal vez no tengamos todo el tiempo que han tenido en otros países para poder desarrollar el proyecto. Los compañeros de la CNTE fueron muy generosos al respecto y estuvieron siempre apoyándonos tanto los investigadores, la investigadora de Brasil, como los compañeros del sindicato ahí también. Bien, pero en segundo término, y no menos relevante, yo quiero hacer hincapié al objetivo que nosotros hemos sintetizado, por el cual este proyecto abre puertas y da posibilidades a los sindicatos, y es aquello de poder incidir en políticas públicas educativas que surgen desde el trabajo docente de aula. Nosotros en la Federación Uruguaya de Magisterio tenemos una línea de trabajo que es el trabajo sistemático desde hace mucho tiempo con respecto a la formación o contribuir a la formación de docentes, formación continua de docentes a través de el intercambio de experiencias nucleadas en lo que muchos de ustedes conocen, nuestra revista Quehacer Educativo. Eh, Nuestra revista Quehacer Educativo viene desde la década del 90. Bueno, allí se plasman generosamente eh, experiencias docentes, experiencias de aula que contribuyen a la formación. Porque para nosotros el sindicalismo es eso. Son reivindicaciones de condiciones de trabajo, son reivindicaciones de condiciones de aprendizaje de los estudiantes, pero que deben partir desde las experiencias propias del aula. Estos círculos de aprendizaje que Uruguay logró, no sin dificultades, entiendo y asumo que en todos los países o en muchos nos ha sucedido lo mismo para esto de visibilizar una alternativa a evaluaciones estandarizadas y formativas desde el aula, porque nos pasa a los docentes. Cuando tuvimos en Belo Horizonte, muy claramente las compañeras se refirieron a lo mismo, las dificultades muchas veces que tenemos para escribir y volcar en nuestras propias experiencias de aula, pero también hacernos visibles en distintos planos y muchas veces, y más aún, cuando nuestras propuestas educativas van contrariamente a lo que nos quieren imponer, en este caso como evaluaciones estandarizadas. Pero el sindicato es eso, el sindicalismo también es esto, es incursionar, es incidir en las políticas educativas para lograr los objetivos de mejores aprendizajes, en definitiva, mejores condiciones de trabajo para docentes y funcionarios de la educación pública. Uno de los objetivos que me parece relevante decir, rescatar, es que esto posibilita al maestro constructor de sus propias prácticas en el intercambio colaborativo de lograr colocar en la escena pública dónde está posicionado el magisterio. Entonces, rescatar lo que en otros momentos hablábamos, que eran evaluaciones de proceso, decíamos hace no mucho tiempo, hoy evaluaciones formativas, que son mucho más que las evaluaciones de proceso que pensábamos en aquel momento, es lo que humildemente creo que nos ha posibilitado este proyecto de los círculos de aprendizaje. Em, yo decía, fortalezas. Fortalezas las tiene el proyecto, fortalezas vienen desde, bueno, idear este proyecto, fortalezas tenemos en Uruguay y voy a reconocerla en los docentes y en las docentes, pero también las quiero reconocer en la compañera que ha estado siempre, que además es maestra y con mucho orgullo lo dice, a pesar de que no esté en aula, que es la compañera Eloísa Bordoli, que está en este momento y fue mencionada por Martín hace unos momentos, que en esta oportunidad está codo a codo con la Federación Uruguaya de Magisterio, pero lo ha estado siempre. O sea, una vez más, si quiero públicamente, Eloísa, agradecerte por eso. Magisterio eh, es una profesión que defendemos, que llevamos muy adentro nuestro, que lo podremos llevar a ser mejor o peor, pero hacemos y el hacer siempre es bueno para el magisterio. No quiero extenderme en esto, pero sí quería destacar algunos de estos objetivos o conclusiones, si quieren llamarlo, a los que nos vamos arrimando como Uruguay y seguramente en todo lo que es el proceso más técnico, más profesional, los compañeros pueden profundizar en esto. Así que muchas gracias y estamos a la orden y dispuestos a continuar en este camino porque el magisterio tiene que hacer escuchar su voz y tiene que poner en agenda pública las discusiones sobre políticas educativas que salgan desde las aulas de clase. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Elvia, for that presentation out of Uruguay. Very interesting. And you're representing primary sector, the teachers in the primary sector. And sometimes I think we don't get to hear enough about what is happening at K through 6. So it's great to hear that. Some people believe it's really an underserved group, and I'm one of those persons too who believe that we should be really doing more and engaging the teachers more in that sector, especially when you think of in the Caribbean here, sometimes we have mom and pop, we call them entities, where many of the persons were delivering in those contexts. And I'm sure it's the same in other parts of the world. They are not necessarily trained. And as unions, we have to always remember that, and I like the way somebody said it many years ago, and as a young trade unionist, unions walk on two legs. Our teacher trade unions, they walk on two legs. It's advocacy on the one hand, but it's also professional development on the other hand. And we have to be very deliberate and intentional when we are embracing that. We're also hearing very clearly in your presentation, and I heard it before, but I think I heard it more clearly from you, collaboration, speaking to the assistance that you're getting, not just from EI, but from your sister organizations across the border. And that's very important. And I get a sense, Martin, at EI, that there's a lot of collaboration. I don't know if COVID has driven us to it, but we've seen to been getting a kind of a new re-energized collaborative efforts from our different unions across the regions, across countries, and we're just really happy for that. Now, Martin, did you want to make a quick comment before I speak a little bit about why I think I am moderating here?
Yeah, I'll just come back to something Elbia brought forward, which we hadn't highlighted perhaps as much as we should have. The focus in the meeting in Belo Horizonte about that relationship between policy and assessment and how the union shapes policy, which they've been very deliberately doing in all these cases. And Anju took us to see the Secretary of State for Education and introduced us to the Education Minister when we were in Cote d'Ivoire. Eleno took us to very senior officials in the Ministry of Education who were able to shape the process and invited people who were looking at the more large-scale assessment. And I have never seen the Brazilians in their home country dealing with the Ministry of Education, and I can tell you it was a sight to behold. And it was a very clear message about who has the best understanding of what's happening in our classrooms. And it's clear from what Albia said that they are similarly working to land this at the highest levels of government so that we can have better and stronger support for teachers in the work they do every day. And this is about the everyday. It's not about the one-off. And I think that's something all of our panelists have been very clear about. and we'll look forward to the questions from the floor. You may also, at some point, Nadine, want to invite Eloisa and Kotu, who are here. I know Dalila would love to be here, but she's unable to be for this session. But if there are others as well from CNTE who want to chip in, it would be great to hear from them. And I know that we have colleagues who have questions too. So I'll pass back to your capable hands, Nadine.
Thanks, Martin. And thank you for raising that, highlighting that for us, because unions have to be at the table with whatever is being developed for us. We can't, I think over the years, too much has happened to us without us. And to see that we are making, especially in this climate, to see that we're making the intentional effort to make sure that we're at the table and we're influencing what is happening. It is something that we want to be proud of. So, Martin, I'm going to say a little bit why I think I'm here. So I am in Jamaica, a part of the North America Caribbean region for EI, for Education International. And we are just about getting started putting together a cell group to have the teacher-led program with us. We have had experiences with similar interventions several years ago when I was president, many years ago. I remember being a part of a delegation with the Jamaica Teachers Association that visited with a group in Canada with the Teacher Learning and Leadership Program. And many of the principles involved there were incorporated into how we do professional development. The ministry was on that team as well, our Ministry of Education, and they took ideas from that. So when we introduced our different curricula for the different, whether it is, early childhood, primary or secondary, we saw elements of that in it. And in addition, schools have embraced that quite a bit. So a number of the approaches, the strategies, the methodologies that I am seeing being used. I'm scouting the EI's website to see all of what is happening. I have the documents and I see some similarities. And so I do believe that we can get a group going here in Jamaica. And of course, very happy to hear about collaboration, and language will not be a barrier. We're going to be reaching out to make sure that we get some insights into how we can, make what we call our professional learning circles and our professional learning communities. The ministry actually has something called quality education circles. Those are delineated according to political boundaries. So according to the member of parliament, there's one QEC for that person, one for that one, and so on. But that is primarily Ministry of Education control and driven. Of course, we who participate, we have our, considerable say in what happens. But where we have the greatest impact and the greatest leverage for autonomy is how we deliver the curriculum in our schools. And we are allowed, I'm happy to say that we are allowed to make changes, make adjustments to ensure that our students, through the formative process, I like to say assessment for learning, they get the opportunity to maximize at the end of the day when we get to summative. And it's really interesting, and I'm really one of the reasons I was sharing with Martin in an earlier conversation that we forayed into the PISA test this year. Some of us didn't think it might have been a great idea, given some of the attitudes to or some of the cultural approaches to testing, which it's so standardized and looking to the end game rather than the process that gets you to the end game. And I know of a case where one parent said, I don't want my child to do that test because the child has not had the time to prepare. And even though the conversation was had, trying to convince the parent that this is not about an end game, it's about where our children are and how we need to use this information to plan for our children to make sure that we're doing what is right. Because learning, assessment for learning, formative assessment, it's really about feedback and how you use that feedback to empower the teachers to deliver better in the classrooms so that and of course, understanding what's happening with our students, remaining cutting edge so that there is full engagement for the best possible outcome. So I think that's quite a mouthful. I know some Jamaicans are on. I'm not sure if anybody else from the Caribbean is on, but some Jamaicans are on. And my own curriculum chair, she's on. my school, Arden High School, well, my substantive post, Arden High School, and I don't know if she will come in, but there are some other persons, and I know Martin has morphed into being my co-moderator today, and I know he'll help me with some of the names and the persons who need to come in. But now we're open for questions. We are now at 40 minutes into the session. We have a maximum of 90 minutes, and we won't go over 90 minutes. So we will go into the question and answer sessions. And you can just raise your hands, indicate. You may type a question in the chat. If the question is in English, I can take it. If it's in another language, I'm going to need assistance. So who is first? We want to call Eloisa first, Martin, if she wants to say anything.
Yeah, perhaps we should also go back to Andrew and see if he wants to say some more about Côte d'Ivoire before we get to the next to this round of questions.
Great, that's a great idea. Thanks, Martin. So Andrew, where are you?
Oui, merci infiniment. Je pense qu'en Côte d'Ivoire, les autorités se sont appropriées véritablement ce projet. Parce que nous nous sommes retrouvés à l'atelier bilan et le ministère a détaché le directeur chargé de la planification avec nous pendant 3 jours. Et avec lui, nous avons discuté, nous avons échangé avec l'équipe de l'IE et le ministère, au sortir de cette rencontre, au sortir donc de cet atelier, a compris la pertinence de l'évaluation formative. Maintenant, le gros problème, c'est vrai que dans les échanges de questions, je pense que nous allons aborder, c'est quoi la suite? Nous avons posé déjà la question à nos partenaires, comment démultiplier, comment intégrer ce projet à toute la Côte d'Ivoire, parce que c'est important, parce que c'est nécessaire, parce que c'est bon de pratiquer l'évaluation formative. L'évaluation formative permet à l'enseignant de se remettre en cause, permet à l'enfant, par groupe, d'apprendre, de se familiariser, d'échanger. L'évaluation formative est adaptée aujourd'hui à nos effectifs pléthoriques. Donc, c'est important, c'est utile, c'est nécessaire vraiment d'appliquer l'évaluation formative à une échelle nationale. C'est ce que je voudrais ajouter. Maintenant, on peut échanger questions-réponses.
Okay, thanks for that. And the whole matter of coverage and access, it was something that was really seriously highlighted during the COVID period. And I know even in many of our more developed or developed countries, there were issues and significant issues with access. When you think of some countries with low coverage, 17%, 20%, under 50% of our students were engaged during that period. What does it say for what is happening now? So that question of the future and how we are going to plan strategically so that we do that catch up and ensure that all of our students are on par. So that's really, and thank you for that coverage and access, very, very important for the future. So we're now going to go to, and as some persons have joined since we started, want to draw your attention to the chat where we do have links that you can access in different languages. You can access to find some of the information that we have been using to round out the conversation here. So we are on to Q&A, but we still want to hear from a couple of persons. And I want to greet my colleague from EI. I see your hand is up. Manuela, morning, Manuela, your hand is up. And I think yours is the first one, so I'll take yours first. And then Martin, you will assist me in identifying the other persons who will need we will ask to speak. Manuela, good to see you so soon again.
Good to see you, Nadine. Thank you. Well, as there is Portuguese interpretation, I will speak in Portuguese. Queria, em primeiro lugar, saudar todos os colegas que estão a participar nesta sessão. Queria felicitar a Internacional da Educação pela realização destes círculos de aprendizagem. Portugal não está envolvido nesta iniciativa, mas eu tive a oportunidade de participar numa iniciativa que teve lugar aqui no Porto, em Portugal, e em que a Internacional de Educação também partilhou informação sobre este projeto, E nessa altura houve várias questões que me pareceram de fundamental importância, nomeadamente também, e que ficou muito claro hoje aqui pelas intervenções que foram feitas, que são questões muito importantes para a escola, para uma escola democrática, para a profissão docente. E eu diria rapidamente, a primeira tem a ver com a formação, com a avaliação formativa. De facto, a avaliação formativa em países como Portugal, mas por exemplo o Brasil, o Heleno deu esse testemunho, em que em tantos países a avaliação sumativa é a avaliação que aparece com grande projeção, com os resultados dos exames a servirem para classificar escolas, em rankings de escolas. Há necessidade, de facto, de afirmar a avaliação formativa como a avaliação que deve ser basilar no processo de ensino-aprendizagem. Portanto, é uma avaliação que ajuda a recolocar o foco na verdadeira finalidade da escola, que é desenvolver o potencial de todos e de cada um dos alunos, colocando a avaliação ao serviço de um projeto de democratização, promovendo a igualdade de oportunidades e a qualidade das práticas educativas em todas e em cada uma das escolas. E esta é uma questão muito importante. Depois, uma segunda questão tem a ver com a formação de professores e o enfoque na formação contínua. Uma formação centrada na escola, que tenha em conta os contextos em que os professores trabalham, os problemas que enfrentam, numa perspectiva de investigação-ação, e foram aqui dados exemplos também desse tipo de formação, sendo muito importante, e a FENPROF tem sublinhado isso, que essa formação possa ser realizada em condições e contextos que não representem uma sobrecarga profissional. Muitas vezes os professores têm que realizar esta formação fora do horário de trabalho e, portanto, acaba por ser uma sobrecarga quando deviam ter condições para poder fazer essa formação. E a última nota, prende-se com esta, é alguma coisa que também a investigação que foi promovida pela Internacional de Educação nesta área mostrou claramente, que é que, sendo o trabalho dos professores vital, a sua autonomia profissional também decisiva, apesar disso não se pode pedir tudo aos professores. E, portanto, tem que haver da parte do poder político um apoio, a criação de condições de trabalho para que os professores possam, de facto, realizar essa sua atividade. E para isso é necessário que haja um financiamento da educação pública, que haja a melhoria do estatuto e das condições de ensino-aprendizagem, e por isso o Martin referiu no início da sua intervenção a importância das recomendações do painel de alto nível das Nações Unidas para enfrentar a falta de professores qualificados e, portanto, a importância de promover também o estatuto e as condições dos professores, e isso é uma questão muito importante para os sindicatos da educação. E eu terminava com duas questõezinhas para os nossos colegas que estão nesta experiência. Por um lado, até que ponto é que este trabalho que desenvolveram em algumas escolas em cada um dos países, até que ponto é que foi possível até agora, ou de que modo pensam partilhá-lo entre a comunidade educativa, como é que vão partilhar os resultados desta experiência com os professores, o conjunto dos associados dos sindicatos, dos professores, a comunidade pedagógica, digamos assim, e, por outro lado, que impacto pensam que o resultado deste trabalho poderá ter nessa relação de reivindicação com o poder político, com os governos, para conseguir colocar na agenda da negociação com os governos estas questões, a importância da formação contínua, a importância da avaliação formativa e a importância dos professores serem apoiados para que possam fazer bem o seu trabalho. Era isto que eu gostava de colocar. Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much, Manuela. Your interventions are always very on target and important. And we're happy to hear from you coming out of Portugal, which is a little different from some of the regions and the countries we've been hearing from. Thank you for that. Very important, you know, the impact. When I listened to your entire intervention, I heard impact. And impact speaks to how we are doing what we're doing, how we're assessing it, and making sure we're making the adjustments as we go along so we will remain relevant. Okay, so thank you. Do we have any other hands? I don't know, Martin, do we have any questions in the chat that we want to take before we take another person, or we want to take one of the three of our members that you named earlier?
Yeah, I think it would be good to go back to the panelists first, because I think Manuela put some really important questions to them. How are we going to share it from the teachers who were in the project out of the project? And I know all the unions have been working on that. And then we can perhaps go to the researchers, Prof. Kotu and Eloisa.
Okay, so we're back with our panelists. Thank you. So we're going back to Côte d'Ivoire. Andrew, you want to weigh in here?
Oui. Oui, je pense que c'est vraiment utile. Utile parce que nous avons expérimenté, nous avons avec nos 30 camarades, nos 30 enseignants, nos 6 superviseurs et nos 2 facilitateurs, tout cela encadré par le coordonnateur national, professeur Claude Poupou, qui a fait une bonne étude, une bonne démarche, et je crois que nos camarades ont apprécié. Aujourd'hui, tous ceux qui ne sont pas, qui n'étaient pas éligibles sur ce projet, demandent à entrer sur ce projet. Ils veulent intégrer ce projet. Ils veulent savoir comment ils ont été mis à l'écart. Donc, c'est vraiment important qu'ils soient associés. Oui. Maintenant, je le disais tantôt, comment démultiplier, vous avez été bien cerné, comment couvrir toute la Côte d'Ivoire, parce que c'est important pour nous. Et donc, nous sommes d'accord, parce qu'il ne faut pas démarrer et puis s'arrêter à si bon chemin. Donc, je voudrais lancer un appel. C'est vrai que nous ne sommes pas à la conclusion, mais lancer un appel à l'IE pour qu'on ne s'arrête pas là. Il faudrait qu'on continue avec ce projet. Voilà.
So I'm clearly hearing capacity building. I'm clearly hearing colleagues supporting each other, brothers and sisters supporting each other. And that's how we're going to be talking about the cross-border capacity building support of our teachers. And I think when I was reading the toolkit, I think this example came out of either Brazil or Uruguay. Don't kill me for not remembering which one exactly. But there was a teacher who, it was the first time that she was doing anything outside of teaching her students. And out of that experience, she was sharing, how it felt to accomplish something on this teacher-led learning circles initiative, and then move to the next stage where she was empowering other colleagues to do the same. So we're seeing that snowballing domino effect, and I'm really excited for that, and I hope I'm just really excited for that. I don't know, Helena, you want to weigh in here?
Obrigado. Sim, Nadine, obrigado. Acho que a Manuela, né, traz, né, essa questão e qual o impacto, né, que esperamos na relação com os governos, e é importante dizer que esse impacto fez parte do processo. Primeiro que nós começamos com 30 professoras e professores, como o adjunto explicou no início, 3 grupos de 10, e fechamos o processo agora, depois de um ano de trabalho, com 22. Então, 8 ficaram pelo caminho. E isso teve impacto com a questão governamental. Por quê? Porque foram perseguidos pelos governos municipais e impedidos de participar. Então, é importante dessa relação. Mas também tivemos, nesse último encontro, nesse último seminário, um relato de uma das professoras que foi até o final, foi perseguida, teve dificuldades, mas fez o trabalho. E aqui nós fizemos uma avaliação dos portfólios de cada equipe, de cada grupo. Escolhemos 3, né, para participar junto conosco do Congresso da Internacional da Educação, que vai acontecer em Buenos Aires, na Argentina. E uma dessas professoras contempladas, que foi perseguida e impedida até de tentar fazer o trabalho durante o processo no seu município, após a escolha e a ida dela para Buenos Aires, mudou a relação com o governo. começou a ser contratada, né, de forma diferente, de forma positiva. Então, essa relação é importante, porque a Manuela traz, né, também a perspectiva dessa formação continuada que é importante nesse processo. E a Ângela escreveu aqui no bate-papo que essa avaliação formativa é muito importante para os professores e os professores, porque ajuda a conhecer melhor os seus alunos e fazer estratégias do processo de ensino bem melhor. Mas, para isso, bate nas condições que a Manuela também reafirmou. Eu falei aqui que mais da metade dos professores aqui do Brasil são contratados de forma temporária e precarizada. Então, nós necessitamos do concurso público para que ele seja efetivo e tenha tempo na carreira. Marte ouviu, a Elbia, né, a Heloísa estavam participando, aqui minhas companheiras aqui da CNTF, com a vice-presidenta Marley, relatos assim, eu tenho 20 anos de carreira, eu tenho 21 anos de escola. Então, esse fato de ser efetivo tem uma influência muito forte no que a Ângela escreveu no bate-papo, ou seja, eu tenho mais tempo para acompanhar o processo dos nossos alunos. Então, Manuela, aqui no Brasil, o que nós estamos tentando fazer para compartilhar com os demais trabalhadores da educação, professores e professoras, é tentar fazer com que esses 22 que concluíram a etapa sejam multiplicadoras do processo. A Internacional da Educação introduziu, vamos tentar aqui pela CNTE, fazer com que esses 22 formem mais turmas, né? 10, 30, 20 em cada região do seu, e cada um grupo de municípios na sua região, e tentar manter esse trabalho, que é lento, né? Mas é um processo que nós precisamos continuar implementando para poder chegar onde nós queremos, enfrentando dificuldades. A Nadine chamou a atenção do parlamento, né, que aqui no Brasil é altamente conservador e vota muito contra as políticas que nós defendemos. E temos um Conselho Nacional de Educação que foi composto pelo governo golpista de Michel Temer, que tem uma forte influência das fundações privadas e que é aprovada aqui no Brasil a Base Nacional Comum Curricular na perspectiva do setor privado, né? Sem nos ouvir, sem a nossa participação, e faz uma intervenção no currículo dentro das nossas escolas. Por isso, aqui na nossa região da América Latina, eu quero saudar também aqui o Miguel Dualdi, da Cepera, que está enfrentando uma situação pior na Argentina, que não tem diálogo com o governo. Aqui no Brasil, nós voltamos a ter o diálogo com o governo federal. Na Argentina, a situação piora porque não tem esse diálogo. Nós, na nossa região, nós precisamos manter e fortalecer o nosso movimento pedagógico latino-americano na perspectiva de fazer esses enfrentamentos que estamos fazendo aqui na nossa região. Obrigado, Nadine.
Okay, so Helena, I hear you going back to the whole matter of public policy and, where our governments are taking us, our ministries of education, where they're taking us on this journey. And it takes me back again to the theme from our last World Congress, the one held online, Defending Democracy. And we're seeing that right across many countries where we have conservative thinking and conservative legislations, where it becomes important. So I just want to really thank you for bringing that in. And before we go to Elbia for her additional comments, I noticed that a comment in the chat from out of Japan, without the question of AI as we deal with formative assessment going forward. My sister, I believe, I'm not sure who it is, but let me see. Tamaki.
Yeah, it's Tamaki.
Tamaki. Okay. I think that is a great question. The ubiquitous technology, it's ever present. It's having an impact on everything we do. We know already that it will not replace us. That's not possible. But it certainly has a significant impact on how we deliver and the end product. So we want to weave that into the conversation as we go forward. And we're calling on Albia to make any more comments. And just to remind us, colleagues, that we are up to the 60-minute mark. So we have just about 30 minutes to go. All right? Elbia?
Gracias, Nadine. Sí, quiero referirme a algunas cuestiones que colocó Manuela en su intervención y aprovecho para saludarte, Manuela, que es el tema de la sobrecarga y la exigencia, que esto no se convierta en ese aspecto para los docentes y las docentes que ya lo están sintiendo. Y decir en esto, voy a ser muy breve, pero quiero ejemplificar cuando estas circunstancias educativas se convierten en una sobrecarga y cuando las y los docentes lo llevamos adelante con otro tipo de actitudes. En el Uruguay nosotros hemos transitado, ustedes bien lo saben, distintos gobiernos y distintos sesgos del gobierno. En el año 2008, gobierno progresista en Uruguay, tuvimos desde educación primaria y la Federación Uruguaya de Magisterio especialmente la posibilidad de incidir en todo lo que tenía que ver con un cambio en un programa escolar que iba de inicial a primaria, desde sus lineamientos principales hasta sus contenidos. Y aquí, tal vez, esto de los círculos de aprendizaje, esto de focalizar en la evaluación, poner énfasis en la evaluación, sirviera para revisar todo aquello del 2008. Y allí participamos docentes, academia, fue muy amplia la participación, claro, lleva mucho tiempo. Hoy estamos en un gobierno de sesgo muy distinto, donde lo que no es eh, común es la participación. Para nuestro gobierno es de corte muy conservador, neoliberal claramente, donde la voz de los docentes no es tomada en cuenta. Ni siquiera se abren espacios de participación. Entonces, la imposición de determinadas modificaciones hacia el quehacer profesional docente hace que además se sobrecargue las jornadas laborales, se sobrecargue y se sienta como sobrecarga eso de continuamente o llenar planillados. Aquí en Uruguay pasa mucho eso, la compañera pasa muchas horas llenando planillados de datos que no sabe para qué son, no saben hacia dónde van, no sabe quién los evalúa. Entonces, yo creo que la oportunidad que estos círculos de aprendizaje ofrecen al magisterio uruguayo es esto. Y esto va vinculado hacia lo que Manuela preguntaba, que cuál sería el impacto a largo plazo de este tipo de iniciativas. Fortalecer los equipos docentes territorialmente, también lo decía en su intervención, con lo que conoce de territorio, con lo que sabe, porque no es todo para todos, porque efectivamente tenemos situaciones distintas a pesar de ser un país de extensión superficial muy pequeña. Somos 3 millones y poquitos de habitantes, por lo cual esta situación de círculos de aprendizaje, esto colaborativa, esto de participación, va a tener, no me caben dudas, y no porque lo diga yo, sino porque un magisterio fortalecido va a dar oportunidades de incidencia. Ahora en el mes de mayo nuestra Federación Uruguaya de Magisterio va a estar en su 13º congreso y allí va a intentar coordinar y confluir en políticas educativas que vayan hacia la dirección de incidir en las políticas de un próximo gobierno que vamos a tener, y el sesgo ojalá cambie del actual que tenemos, en octubre de este año. Por lo cual somos estamos muy esperanzados en el impacto que también esto territorialmente vaya a tener en la incidencia de las próximas políticas educativas. Gracias, Manuela. Y lo de inteligencia artificial lo dejo colgado para otro momento o, bueno, para otros futuros encuentros. Me parece muy interesante lo del compañero de Japón. Gracias.
All right, thank you so much, Albia. Important points being raised there. When we started out with 90 minutes, we thought we had a lot of time. We're down to the last 25. So I'm going to ask people to, keep their comments and interventions as tight as possible so that we can end on time. Eloisa, I'm going to ask you to just tell us in 2 sentences who you are and share with us.
Bueno, buenos días y buenas tardes, depende de dónde nos ubiquemos. Es realmente un placer estar escuchando las intervenciones de los compañeros tan diversas de tantas partes del mundo. Realmente es muy enriquecedor. Eh, Soy Eloísa, digamos, y trabajo junto a Elvia en la Federación Uruguaya del Magisterio y en este momento, digamos, no estoy en la escuela pública, sino que trabajo en la Universidad de la República y estoy colaborando con la FUNTEP en el proyecto, y bueno, en ese marco agradezco muchísimo la confianza depositada por los compañeros y por la internacional de brindarme esta oportunidad de trabajar codo a codo con los maestros de, del Uruguay. Yo, digamos, me había notado simplemente para añadir un comentario que va en sintonía con lo que retomaba Elvia del planteo de Manuela. Eh, digamos, Manuela señalaba la importancia de la formación permanente, la formación continua de los docentes. Y sí, por supuesto, estamos totalmente de acuerdo, pero lo interesante que me parece ha brindado este proyecto tiene que ver con el sentido y la forma en que se ha ido dando la formación profesional de los docentes, ¿no? O sea, en Uruguay hay, digamos, antecedentes, historia y actualmente, digamos, desde el oficialismo y desde las autoridades se brinda, podríamos decir, entre comillas, instancias de formación, pero son formaciones, van en una dirección, digamos, que buscan animar a la construcción de un docente individualista, un docente, digamos, que busca incidir, eh, digamos, tecnocráticamente en los trabajos de sus alumnos. Entonces me parece que la formación hay que, digamos, disputar qué formación, qué sentido y cómo esa formación. Entonces, la posibilidad de configurar círculos de trabajo, ¿no? Pequeños grupos de discusión y de reflexión de la propia práctica del docente, habilita, digamos, varias cosas, no solo pensar en su trabajo cotidiano, sino también generar nuevas propuestas para poder incidir en los procesos de aprendizaje de sus alumnos en el uno al uno y a nivel grupal también, ¿no? A nivel grupal. Y a la vez, digamos, reconocerse, que eso es algo que ha salido mucho en nuestro trabajo, reconocerse como profesionales de la educación, ¿no? Ese reconocimiento, ese sentir que se tiene una voz propia y que esa voz no es una voz individual, sino que puede ser una voz colectiva, gestada en la articulación con sus compañeros de trabajo es muy importante. Me parece que no solo los objetivos, sino lo procedimental, digamos, del proyecto ha sido muy positivo, muy bueno, y que estamos apostando a que obviamente eso tenga una mayor impacto a nivel, digamos, de todo el magisterio nacional. Y en esa línea, digamos, el encuentro en Belo Horizonte con los compañeros de Brasil, con todos y cada uno de los maestros, con sus distintas realidades, muy distintas al paisito, que como decía Elvia, tiene sus diferencias, pero dentro de un microuniverso que no es el denominador común de la riqueza de nuestra América Latina y del mundo. Entonces ha sido ese encuentro muy fermental, muy positivo para todos nosotros, y agradecer bueno, a Eleno, Dalila, a Martín, por esa posibilidad.
Okay, thank you so much for those comments. What's jumping out at me, Martin, when I listen to this part, this presentation, still talking about the importance of professional training, professional development, but the agency that we need to make sure that our teachers have when, the voice, that's the most important thing that we have. It's what we use. It's what we express ourselves in so many ways, that voice, that agency. So thank you so much for that, Eloisa. Thank you. And we're going to be moving very quickly now. We're at 12 minutes. So we are winding down nicely. So I'm going to go to Esban Atieno. It's your turn.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Esban Atieno, the Deputy Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers. I'm excited to join this forum where we're discussing about assessment, and it is a conversation that has been going on in Kenya, and I think it has come at an opportune time for us to listen. In fact, I just keyed in so that I could listen, and I've seen that the challenges that we go through in assessment is something that we need to look at, more so in a situation like in Kenya, where we are moving to a competency-based curriculum, whereby assessment is key, and the way something that we really need to follow so that we can know that teachers are in control of it, more so in situations whereby we find that in Kenya, we have a body that is called Kenya National Examination Council that deals purely with issues of assessment. And when you have such a council, the teachers are left out. And considering also that assessment is done for placement of children to the next grade, and this now becomes very scary for the students when they are supposed to be assessed, because they find it like it is something that is not enjoyable. It is not anything to evaluate what they have captured, and it is not even anything to be used to identify the gaps in learning. It is used as a way of seeing that teachers are really doing their duty, and out of the assessment, teachers can be judged, and some other teachers have suffered very serious consequences because the results of the assessments have not been pleasing both to the Teacher Service Commission, to the Ministry of Education, and to the parents in general. So assessment has been something that has been looked at as a monster. And I've now seen that we really need to bring back assessment to the teacher so that the teacher can be the one who knows what to assess, and the student can enjoy being assessed so that you can identify gaps and the knowledge that the child has got. So to me, I find this conversation very interesting. I wish I had more time to share the experiences in Kenya. It is a discussion that we are having, and we are trying to see how can we help as teachers, how can we help as unions. Coming in today, I was discussing, we had a discussion with the permanent secretary in charge of education in Kenya, and was telling me, look, husband, come in and assist us to ensure that we succeed. And this is a better forum where I've gotten a lot of knowledge that it can inform our research in Kenya, which can, in the long term, assist the government in the way assessment is being done. So I want to say that this is a very good forum. And as Kenya, we want to be actively involved as Kenya National Union of Teachers. I'm happy I've seen my brother Martin and others who are participating. We want to come in very strongly as Kenya National Union of Teachers and be active participants when we're discussing the position of a teacher in the assessment of a student, so that it is not only for certification or for placement. It is to assist the teacher to know what learning is all about. The introduction of artificial intelligence, let it not take the place of a teacher in the class. If
Thank
we
you,
have to
Esman.
embrace it, let it be assistive, but not take the place of a teacher. I know time is running out. Thank you. I wish I had time to say more. Thank you.
I know, I'm sure there will be other forums and we'll get an opportunity to share. But, as you were speaking, I began thinking about, where did we get all these attitudes towards assessment from? And very often it's the way we we experience assessment that we have brought to the table. And now we have to begin to really make that almost seismic shift if we want to ensure that our students are fit for purpose and that we are, getting the kind of satisfaction and again, the kind of agency that we need to have as teachers. Now, we're down to 16 minutes past the hour. So I'm gonna ask our two presenters or two persons with their hands up to keep it to within 3-4 minutes because I have to bring Martin in as our senior moderator to do the wrap up. All right, so we are with Ore from, you will tell us. Thank you, Esman. It's your turn, Ore.
Hola, buen día, Jorge Alfaro. Hola, buen día, Jorge Alfaro desde México. Saludos del Sindicato Nacional de Trabajadores de la Educación. Muy breve, comentarles que a lo largo de estas sesiones me ha parecido muy interesante lo que se ha ido exponiendo. Creo que hoy particularmente se acentúa el hecho de cómo el trabajo colaborativo entre los profesores puede generar esos espacios de reflexión, esos espacios de análisis que les permita desde sus propios contextos, desde su propia territorialidad, reflexionar y modificar su praxis. Coincido con Eloísa en el sentido de que es necesaria la formación, pero la pregunta es correcta. ¿Qué formación exactamente necesitan? ¿En qué momento? ¿Y quién la puede compartir con ellos? Y creo que la respuesta está justamente en los propios círculos de aprendizaje, en los propios docentes que desde su reflexión digan, esto es lo que me está haciendo falta, esto es lo que necesito, y ver en el mismo colectivo si esto se puede cubrir ahí mismo o a través de otros colectivos, y de ahí la riqueza de este seminario, porque vamos viendo y vamos compartiendo experiencias que seguramente incidirán en este proceso. En México, en este momento, no tenemos algo así llamado círculos de aprendizaje, pero funcionan los consejos técnicos escolares, y en el nuevo modelo educativo se está pretendiendo ir hacia este paso de la decolonización y trabajar en pos de una formación desde el propio colectivo, tomando en cuenta la territorialidad. Por eso me parece fundamental lo que estamos trabajando todos en el seminario, unos no directamente trabajando en ello, pero aprendiendo de lo que se está dando y aprovechando estos espacios. Mil gracias, Nadine. Un saludo a todos. Henry, como siempre, un gusto saludarles. Saludos desde México, Cente. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Senti, Mexico, a part of the Caribbean, North America region. Thank you for that intervention, decolonization, deconstructing some of the old ideas that we have about education and moving in again, like I said before, giving agency to the teacher and ensuring that our students are fit for purpose. Thank you so much. And we're now going to go to Ayunisu.
Hansu. Hi, Nadine.
Hi.
Good to see you again. So I met you.
Yes, very good to see you. Yes.
Okay, so I'm Chansu. I'm international director of the Korean Teachers Union. I think this international project on formative assessment is really important at this moment. Especially I would like to focus on the teacher-led. Teachers should be leaders in education, in classroom, in school, in society, in a nation. But in many countries, teachers are not valued. Our voices are not heard. This is a big problem. In South Korea, teacher unions have been fighting against the neoliberal education policies for a long time. Neoliberal education policies such as the teachers are education is a commodity and parents and students are consumers. The teachers should be evaluated by the consumers like this. It is crazy idea. It is really crazy idea. So Korean teachers are fighting for the against the neoliberal education policies for a long time, and we are also fighting against high stakes standardized testing. Whenever in South Korea, whenever right-wing governments are elected, they try to introduce the standardized testing. This time, all third graders in all eighth graders, the government is trying to start standardized testing for all third graders and eighth graders. So Korean Teachers Union are fighting against this standardized testing. But in this time, government said that the standardized testing is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. It is the voluntary. But they use the budget allocation, the total number of the students who are participating in the standardized testing. The province will be allocated more budget. It is really mean approach by the government. It is really mean, despicable. So I think at this time, this international project on formative assessment, teacher-led formative assessment is really important. This is kind of international with the evidence. We can use this against the government's approach, the mean approach. Thank you so much. That's it. Thank you.
Muted. Yes. Thank you for that intervention. Good to see you again. Martin, we are down to just 8 minutes, and we've heard from our colleagues, our brothers and sisters from across more regions than we thought we would have at the beginning. And some of the interventions are almost on par with our panelists. And so we want to thank everyone for all of your contribution to this conversation this morning. It bears out the whole collaborative element of what we're seeing taking place. It's nothing new, but I believe it has taken on a kind of a new lease on life, Martin. And we're going to ride this wave. And I can see the teacher-led learning circles initiative moving across more borders than we perhaps anticipated at the beginning. So we want to thank you so much. I want to end where I started. Teachers' unions, we walk on two legs: advocacy and professional development. We're certainly advocating for professional development. I see where we have taken to heart the mandates we got out of our themes for our World Congresses 8 and 9. We're taking the lead. A teacher is a leader in your own life. You're a leader in your classroom. You're a leader wherever it is that you have the opportunity to serve, whatever space. And we are definitely growing everything that it is that we can do. We thank you so much. We appreciate you joining this morning. Please remember, look at the chat to see where you can find the links and some of the questions which you can take as questions for yourselves as you leave this panel, this webinar this morning. And so we're down to 7 minutes. Over to you, Martin.
Thanks, Nadine. And I'm going to do a risky thing now because I can't do this without standing on the shoulders of my brothers and sisters. So I'm going to turn it back to our general secretaries, without whom we don't operate. And I'm going to go backwards this time and just ask you for the most important thing that learning circles have done for you. So just give us one sentence, please. We'll start with you, Elbia, and we'll go backwards, Eleno, then Anju. So Elbia.
Gracias, Martín. Lo que nos ha aportado a Uruguay estos círculos es la posibilidad de visibilizar que la acción docente territorial colaborativamente puede llegar a incidir y va seguramente a incidir en políticas educativas propias de cada uno de los territorios de las y los departamentos que tiene nuestro país territorialmente vinculados. Em, Creo que estos círculos de aprendizaje que, reitero, para nosotros son incipientes porque comenzamos en el segundo semestre del año pasado, pero se ha fortalecido lo que es el rol docente más allá del trabajo de aula propiamente dicho. Muchas gracias.
Texto, Martin. A Tamaki levantou a questão da inteligência artificial, que também aqui no Brasil tem uma ação muito forte. Alguns estados têm uma influência na nossa ação sindical e também no processo de avaliação. Por isso, dessa experiência da avaliação formativa que estamos fazendo, eu considero que é fortalecer a nossa ação profissional do local, da escola, do município, ao global. Por isso, estamos juntos, sigamos firmes na luta.
Thanks, comrades. And I think that you've given us a very clear focus here. Anju has left the webinar, and I just want to thank Nadine as well, who has many of you do not know, is also a school principal, as well as being on our executive board, as well as working at the Teachers College. So she has more jobs than I've had hot dinners. And I can tell you that she does them all with professionalism and aplomb. And she's guided us through this work with the eye of a real leader. And she's focused on the stories that matter. And I'm actually going to finish with a story for you because some of you know I was an English and a drama teacher, so painting word pictures is important to me. And this is an image that I used in Brazil, but I'm going to use it slightly differently. So formative assessment is like a jet plane. And as has been this webinar, actually, it takes a while to spark it up and to get it moving. But if we put in the time and the environmentally sustainable fuel, which is formative assessment in this case, then we're going to be able to make it fly. So I do agree with Nadine that we do think that this is an approach and a way of working that can cross borders. And we will be keeping you posted with ways that you can access the materials and the ideas that we're working on here. And I have to finish by letting you all know that we will have a breakout at Congress on this topic where you will be able to hear not only from us hardened old hands who've been driving this ship through these waters of webinars for a while, but also from the teachers. We will have teachers from Brazil who will be able to tell us from the chalk face what has happened. And I also would like to acknowledge the amazing way in which we've been focused by the incisive and thoughtful questions we've had from our people today. From Manuela's work on impact to Tamaki's question about AI and all the different ways that you've worked us through. And it's great to see you, Brother Husband, chip in as well, and to see Mexico engaged and interested in such large numbers. So thank you, Miguel. We will be in your country for the Congress. So when we open that session, we hope to see you and our Argentinian brothers and sisters there, because we know that you need our solidarity as we need yours. So it's great to see you here, and we're looking forward to seeing you in person, and many of you in person at that meeting.
Martin, so I think that our Congress is just going to be on fire. It may be winter in Argentina, but I believe it's going to be on fire.
Yeah, that's for sure. So thank you all for your time and your efforts and your perspicacity, and we will see you all next time.